Hi, it's Tracy. Welcome to my home here in Sussex, England. I have found some amazing secondhand furniture just lately. So we're going to be doing some transformations on those pieces. We're finally going to get round to the organisation of my storage shed. And of course, it wouldn't be Rural Refurb without a little bit of styling. It has been decades since I've been in a high street furniture store. This is where you will find me pretty much every single week. There are so many bargains to be had, and the lovely Mike and Michael are always on attendance. This had just arrived, so therefore I had first dibs on it. Oh, be still my beating heart, £150. I could easily move this on for 10 times that amount of money. Now, it has clearly had a very bad paint job, but I love that sort of stuff. That is right up my street. So I sent a picture to my daughter and said, "Do you want this for your kitchen?" She said, 5 minutes, I'll get back to you. Also sent it to my husband because I really didn't know where to put it. And of course, he is a bit of a shopaholic. So of course, he said, buy it. Whilst I was sorting all that out, I noticed this big pile of timber. Asked them what they were doing with it. They said it's got woodworm on the base, so we're going to throw it. I said, well, if you're going to throw it, darlings, could you throw it in the back of my Land Rover? And because I am such a frequent flyer there, they duly did so. As the old saying goes, if you don't ask, you don't get. And I think if you ask sweetly, politely, with a smile on your face, you will be amazed at the things you do get. So once all that was safely loaded up, it was time for a very nervous drive home with all that in the boot. All this beautiful wood, gosh, what to do with it? So I don't want to build it. I don't want a huge French armoire in my house. I don't really tend to use wardrobes these days. But this is a big bundle of beautiful timber. I'm thinking maybe shutters or a secret doorway. And the ironmongery is just stunning on its own. Let me know, what would you do with all this? I'd love you to share your ideas. Now, let's spin forward a few days, and it is delivery day. The couriers have brought the big beastie over for me to play with. Now we can get a really good look at what we're dealing with. Obviously, very old pine. It's had several layers of paint, probably over many, many years. Some of it is absolutely delicious. The wine racks are maybe a little bit too twee for me, so I am going to consider removing those. And I found a little broken piece of jewellery. Always exciting. Could these be real diamonds? Could I have made my fortune? Probably not. The inside of the cupboards really just needed a good clean. The same with the drawers, a bit of sloppy paintwork. Oh, this is manna from heaven for me. I absolutely just cannot wait to get my hands on this. There is a little bit of a split at the top, but I have a cunning plan to deal with that. But the first thing I'm going to do is get my big marker out. It takes all the strain, and I'm just going to sand. Primarily, I'm doing what I term as a clean-up sand. So it's taking off all the runs, things like the shells where there shouldn't be any paint. I'm just making sure that they're all nice and clean. And I'm also distressing, because at this stage, I don't think I am going to strip it all the way back. There are a few little spongy bits on the bottom, so I'm going to use wet rot hardener just to set the wood solid again. Fortunately, there weren't any holes, woodworm holes, so I didn't need to treat it for that. We're going to have a little break from doing the dresser, and I'm going to round up the boys, and we are going to head over to the auctions. This is another place that you will find me on a regular basis. This particular day, I was with my daughter Amber and also my granddaughter Margot. So I wasn't really concentrating massively and just, doing a loose, having a little rummage around. I've actually just found 2 of those lanterns in a charity shop for £5 for the pair. Great Western Railway lights. So look out for those in some upcoming episodes. Let's have a little mooch about and see what they've got. Now, normally at auction, I say normally, always at auction, I only ever leave commission bids. I have never attended this auction in the 25 years I've been going to it. My daughter quite fancied those terracotta pots, but we're busy chatting away. She got in the car and went back up to London. Then she rang me and said, "Oh, do you know that Watson's is online? Think I might have a bid in the morning." What can I say? The temptation was too great. I found this chest of drawers and this chair, which I hadn't really photographed or filmed in the auction. And I got the chest of drawers for £48, which was amazing. And I got the chair. I ended up in a bit of a bidding war. Oh man, it was fatal. £150. We'll talk about that later. Now, Amber also got her terracotta pots, quite a lot of them, a lot of eye rolling from her husband. Don't quite know what she's going to do with them all. Knowing my daughter, she'll probably sell them on to the London crowd and make a fortune. Now, back to this chest of drawers. This actually was a real bargain. So from that respect, I am so glad that I went online and I got this. It's made from reclaimed timber. It's in a nice, lovely condition. You could just give it a wash down and pop it straight into a bedroom. But you know me. I do like to have a little tiddle about. I do think those handles are a little bit small though, so I may well be switching those out. Now, let's just pop back over to this leather chair. It's a rocking chair. Funnily enough, everybody who comes onto the drive whilst I'm working sits in that chair and says, "Oh my goodness, it's so comfortable." Now, the hammer came down at 150. I do see these going through at 400 to 600, albeit maybe in better condition. I am going to restore it. I am going to do something with it. But did I drop a clanger? Did I get a little bit carried away? But even if I did, I had great fun doing it. This is exactly why I rarely buy new. I find it is such fun searching these pieces out, doing the bidding, negotiating. Older pieces are often beautifully made. They're full of character and with a little imagination can become something completely unique for you, for your home, and at a fraction of the cost. If they make you smile, then it's right for you. I've made a decision and these wine racks are going to go. I messaged my lovely carpenter, Ben. Oh, the boys just adore adore him. He's young, he's kind of in between the ages of my children, but he is so talented and we work so well together. So Ben, I will be having him back in order to do some shutters or whatever it is we decide to do with the big old armoire. So that is the sanding effect that I'm going for. The hands belong to my 6'4" husband. Now the boys are down by the stream just cooling off, and Bear has developed this habit of digging in water. Oh, bless him. He is a sandwich short of a picnic, that one, but he is absolutely adorable. Now, let's get back onto the chest of drawers. I've gone through my handle stash and I've decided I've got some bigger ones, so we're just going to switch them over. Whenever I take off any form of ironmongery, I always keep it because you never know when you're going to need it again. Now, normally I would fill in the old holes, but there are so many on this reclaimed timber that there's 0 point. The big old Merker is out again. This is an expensive bit of kit, I won't lie, but it has made my life so much easier. I'm always sanding without a mask on, and I know people do say, oh my gosh, the dust. Actually, there is very, very little dust at all because it's got this huge vacuum on it. Now here I'm wanting to take out all the brush marks, and it's just not floating my boat, darlings. So I am going to paint it white. I know I've only got half a tin of paint. Why is she putting white paint on white paint? I'll explain. Firstly, I don't want a white chest of drawers, so don't worry, this is not going to be just a plain piece of white painted furniture. What I'm doing with the paint that I'm putting over is creating texture. I've applied it really quite thickly. I've used every drop. No, Bear, darling, I don't want to add a twig. And Bertie's just not bothered anymore. I'm going to finish the piece with clear and dark wax. If you're new to wax, always go on with clear first. That protects the paint, protects the piece, and it helps you control the top wax, the colour that you're then applying. Once the wax is touch dry, it's time to attach the new handles. Now, the only screws I've got to hand are these chrome ones, which, as you can guess, they're gonna look a bit pants. But if you take a fine brush and a little bit of the dark wax, just dab it over and it will knock that chrome back. Okay, boys, up and at 'em. It's time for storage shed reorganization. I have been saying for months and months I am going to do this. This 200 square foot shed is just packed out. I need to get some order in here. What tends to come in here is anything that's not going to be affected through the winter, anything that is in transition, anything that I just don't love anymore and I just need to put it somewhere. It's not my best stuff. It is just a lot of stuff. The boxes, however, do contain some nice stuff, for the seasonal decorating. Another reason I had to get this done now was Amber decided that her office is going to become a playroom for Margot. So she wanted to not get rid of this desk, but for me to store it. This old wardrobe I did for my son for his nursery, and he's 29. So you can appreciate how old some of the things are in here. I'm such a little hoarder outside. In the house, I'm really ruthless, but that's only because I've got this space outside that I can offload things into. If you've got a golfer in the family, then the boxes that the clubs come in are brilliant for storing faux flowers. I've actually got pampas grass in there. My dried hydrangea heads will be making a reappearance soon, as will all the pine cones. I have got quite a lot of boxes of pine cones. And have you got a box of leaves? I have. I don't know why I've got a box of leaves. No, I do. I do know. Some of them are actually preserved with clear wax. I will make things out of them. I've actually got a box waiting for Christmas decorations. So I'm going to get creative with those. I keep all my lights down here. Obviously, with your lights, remember to wrap them around something and then they don't get all tangled up. Oh my God, this is like a walk of shame. I'm so embarrassed at how much stuff there is. I think I'm just going to be quiet for a moment or two and let you have a little mooch. There are two other sheds as well, which are in desperate need of reorganizing, maybe putting shelves in, creating some extra space. These were strange things we found when we first moved in. I keep all my pots in here, all the little bits and bobs that you need. This one is the absolute shed of shame. I have this obsession with finding like really unusual twigs and branches and then I pop them in here along with about 3,000 golf balls that my husband's found. Back to the main shed and I've been busy with a hammer and nails creating space up at the top so I can hang all my baskets, even the old skis, the vintage skis that I found at auction that I used in the Christmas decorating last year. So now I'm just neatly trying to get everything in and put it in a way that I can actually access everything. And it is starting to feel a lot better. These cardboard boxes, I'm not just keeping them because they're cardboard boxes, it's where all the hydrangeas live. Did you see the episode with the hydrangea tree? If not, I will link it below. It feels so good to get even all the lampshades up high so I'm not tripping over them all the time. Look, we have floor space. That's not going to last for long. Not with me. We've also got some empty boxes and a little bit of empty shelf space. Over in the guest cottage, I'm afraid it's carnage. I've just emptied my son's apartment. He's given it up because he's hardly ever there and his business has gone off in a different direction. So, of course, that means all his stuff comes back to mummy. I've got this side all full with my decorating fabrics. And then on this side, I need space for even more fabrics. So I'm having to take a lot of the glassware, all the odds and sods, and take it down to the storage shed, find a home for it down there. Please join me in wishing Baby Bear happy first birthday. He has just filled our hearts, our home with such joy and happiness. I love having 2 dogs. It's time to finish the big French dresser. Now, I've got all my waxes out. So I've got my dark, my clear, white, and black, but I don't think I'll really use the black. My brushes, I'm just soaking in white spirit just to loosen them all up. It's a big job, so I need them as pliable as possible. I use the rags as well, not just for cleaning the brushes, but after I've gone on with the clear, then the dark, and I rub down with the cloths. We're done, boys. Let's go walkies. I've had these big beasties in the hallway for a few days, just letting the wax dry off, waiting for them to find their new homes. And yes, I may well have used this paint effect before. Now, I have a question for you. Have you ever used AI to see what a piece would look like? I popped this picture into chat. I took a picture of that location, and this is what it created. Isn't that fabulous? Now, obviously, this is before I did the work, but it gave me a really good idea that even though the measurements were fine, actually, it would look good in that position as well. Before we slid it back, I plugged in the 2 lamps and I also plugged in a 4-gang extender so I can add my fairy lights at a later date. Before we style the dresser, I want to take you upstairs and show you a bedroom that I am desperate to do a makeover on. In this bedroom, it has not really been touched since I finished the build. I want to just inject a little bit of life. So I think the big chest of drawers will go on that wall. The sideboard from downstairs, I think, would look great in that corner. So we'll try and get that upstairs into the bathroom. And I do want to inject some colour in here. There's no windows and we get the light from the sun tunnel, which is absolutely beautiful. Would highly recommend sun tunnels. So let's get that dresser upstairs, pop it on that wall. I've got the drawers up for the chest of drawers, and the cupboard that was in that spot has now made its way down to the storage shed, along with the table. Oh, fabulous having some room. And there we go. Doesn't it just look spot on for that spot. Now it is time for some styling. Meet Bruce. Bruce has a friend as well, Babs. I found these two on a shop and haul down in Cornwall, £5 each in a charity shop. Well, there was no way I was going to leave these little beauties behind because they were perfect candidates for the faux stone effect that I do. Now, I know lots of you have tried this technique. Be warned, it's really addictive. Tell me what's the most unusual piece you have used this technique on. I'd love to know. Pop it in the comments below. Now, I've shared this with you before, but I think it's worth sharing again. A little tip with something left over from Christmas. We've got these cypress garlands. I bought 10 of these, and that's not the cheapest purchase to make. And what, just put them all away? No, I think we can make these little babies work all year round. So I am wrapping it around and around itself. The vine, if you like, is very pliable, so you can really mold it into a very tight circle, keeping all that foliage hanging down. And then when you get to the very end, you just tuck it in and watch the magic happen. And of course, it means you don't have to store your Christmas garlands. You can have them out on display all year long. Another fabulous little charity shop find that I thought would be quite useful to put loose change, keys, cufflinks, that type of thing in. Now, just before we leave this room, this chest of drawers here, very slim, tall. I did this several years ago. The handles on it are driving me crazy because they won't stay still. They just keep moving. So I'm going to take the handles that were on the big chest of drawers that we've just done and switch them over. Waste not, want not. So if you're interested in seeing more transformations, don't forget to subscribe and tune in next time when we will be doing work in that bedroom. Now, back to the big dresser. Oh, I just love it so much. To illuminate the cupboards, I'm just going to add some of these flameless candles which have a remote control. If you were with me last year, you know I use these all year round, and especially at Christmas. These two lamps were found in a charity shop for just £7.50 each, so £15 for a pair of lamps. Of course they had to come home with me. They'd had a very bad paint job, but that was not a problem because the easy fill came out and I did my stone effect on them. I used all sorts of herbs and spices, anything that was passing its sell-by date. I also love to wrap with twine. It just creates a really stunning effect. And then the only thing that was left to do was put on a super sexy light bulb. I found this gorgeous wooden bowl in a charity shop and I stripped off all the colouring, the lacquer, by using the oven cleaning technique. I found these what I can only describe as dried fruits in a charity shop, £1 each. When you shake them, it sounds as though they've got seeds still in them. So if you've got any information on them, please do let me know. Counting the drawers into the middle is a useful way to find the centre point. My son had 6 of these pendant shades in his apartment, which he'd got off Amazon. Now, I've got to store them, so I thought, well, might as well store them on display. If I turn them upside down and slide them into the top, they look like bowls. This is faux heather from Abigail Ahern. I had it a few years ago. My daughter bought me some, and then I loved it so much I bought a little bit more. Don't know if they still stock it though, but it's ideal just to pop up there to give a nice, light, summery feel. Can you imagine the fun I am going to have with this dresser come autumn and Christmas? Oh, I'm so excited.